What's up, fellas? JPS Delivers here. Hopefully you're all having a good one. Just gonna continue on from my last video. Just gonna give the specifics real quick, but LeBron James, amazing game last time. He's balling out. Looking forward to just how this is gonna play out. Should be interesting for sure. I think we just got done playing Markeith Morris, I think, on the other team. I don't know. I do not know, but it's been a rad start to the NBA Finals. Really good game by Porzingis. But now we're going to be in the FedEx Forum. It's the Grindhouse, man. It's the Grindhouse. So let's get this one. Let's dump on this team. Let's dump on this team and win a nice little title for the first title for Cleveland Cavaliers. I think this might have been the year technically with this game. Playing an older game, but updated rosters. It's going to be really updated. Coming about. Hopefully, next episode I can run through it. It's nice to see a difference in courts. I love to play like, when I'm playing with these. Oh man. That man right there, he was going ape shit. That's because DeAndre Ayton's not the best of down-low defenders. But yeah, I love playing on the road. It's just that might be my change of stuff because I get tired of playing on at home and stuff like that because it's like the same court. That might be my way I was saying of how you're getting the Robert Krafts of the world that get tired of just the stuff they get with their tons of money and stuff like that. That's not as nice as it could normally come to them, to where they get tired of it. Well, in this case, my way is that I like to play away games and stuff like that. But yeah, back to what I was talking about. I was talking about how, with all the things going on with Hollywood is a big, using its new PR thing is Hollywood's trying to talk about, and Hollywood's always been a part of trying to do movements and shit like that, to where
the thing about setting screens, you have to be willing to sacrifice your body. It can't be half-hearted.
Nice LeBron.
Stolen by McGee. It's deflected, and they're able to recover. Wide open look here for Murray. The Grizzlies pull it in.
Damn, this team is not doing all too well against mine.
Wide open from one of his favorite spots.
Stolen by McGee. Fires the three. Headshot off.
That's a dumb shot. Shouldn't have done that. If I'm going to use LeBron like that, you know what I mean? But, yeah, I'll just get back, Hollywood's always been a big say and stuff like that, especially with television, there's, it makes sense that, that's going to be a lot of pop culture, ends up being a big part of just culture in general, because, if you can get to this many people and shit like that. Nice. And LeBron is balling.
LeBron's got 3 assists now in this one. Okay, well, let's check.
But it's basically it makes sense that would be a lot of say behind stuff.
Head coach of the Grizzlies for just a minute. Been a pretty even matchup this season with each team winning one game. So what's the key tonight as they try to take the advantage? He said in a word,
is that with Hollywood is that it makes sense that pop culture becomes a big part of culture in general. To where, if you can reach a lot of people, there's the power of, having accessibility. Kind of like the United States has accessibility to a lot of resources and stuff like that, and that makes it, it's questionable accessibility sometimes, but just the accessibility in itself totally gives power to it. You know what I mean? There's going to be the power behind being a billionaire and millionaire is that you have accessibility to a lot more things through money than than the normal person. You have access to big clubs. Let's say just on a smaller level when you're in a city. People that you know, grew up in wealthy families, live in penthouse apartments downtown, are going to have access to exclusive clubs and events compared to people, and even on a tinier level, is that you're going to see that at like sort of like music events and stuff like that, like Burning Man or like South by Southwest or something like that, to where people that have paid more and stuff like that are the ones with more accessibility to a certain event compared to the average person because they had the money to have more access to it. And this case with Hollywood, they have the access and the ability to broadcast their opinions and stuff like that, and it doesn't necessarily, I mean, that's the thing about power, is that you don't have to be right to be powerful. Like, you know, that's the whole thing, right, is that you can come off as telling people that you're right. You have the ability to make what you think and do is right based upon the power you have to influence people. And that's all, you know, power is, the ability to influence people. You know what I mean? Is that in itself, is that with the power to influence people, is that now at that point, power can be anything. You can have power to do the right thing, or you can have power to tell a bunch of bullshit lies to people that are just not true. And, you know, there's been some questionable things that people have noticed more so, been more conscious of lately in the past like couple of years. Nice. LeBron's just facilitating, getting things done. But with that being said, you know, and you also mix the unorganic, you know, unorganic characteristics of Hollywood, and then what you end up getting is a lot of bullshit. And, you know, and a lot of like far-fetched stuff. Oh, nice block. But what it ends up leading to is that you get times like this to where people get fed up with hearing people, you know, like, it's kind of like, you know, if someone in your family's just crazy and feeding you a bunch of bullshit, you eventually get fed up with it. And people have gotten fed up with that, is that, you know, a lot of people are getting fed stuff by, you know, people that have the power to you know, influence what's being told to a great amount of people. You know, kind of like people who work for NBC have more power technically by default than people who work at, like, you know, like a local like news station, to where they have the power to tell more people, or they have the accessibility to tell more people, and because they have more people they have the accessibility to tell stuff to, they technically have more power in what they do. Kind of like, you know, the United States president is going to be more powerful than, you know, South African president, because that person is talking to a lot more people. And also, too, the United States president could be a lot less powerful than the UN, the head person of the UN, because the UN is now controlling 20 countries. And we could talk about, you know, who's head of whatever and stuff like that. And like, oh, yeah, the United States is already the head of the UN. Whatever. That's a whole different thing. But, you know, in itself, though, Jesus Christ, LeBron.
And the D has no answer for Murray. Just absolutely ferocious.
Is that that you've had is that now? Oh man, LeBron is balling. Yes, he is. Doesn't have many points at all, but he has 4 rebounds and 8 assists. So yeah, LeBron's already balling because it's LeBron, but a tighter game this time, so I'm appreciating that at least. But what I'm been trying to say is that, you know, is that when you have that influence, you can feed people a lot of bullshit, and you can also give a platform to the wrong people. And that's the thing, is that with jobs like this, is that if you're powerful, you can, you know, it's like the saying goes, right? You know, if you know a person, then you can get a job over someone else that has more criteria, that fits the job, and stuff like that, because you know people. And with that being said, with having the ability to have that platform, is that it totally, Jesus,
leads to assists, and
man,
that's been the
he's
recipe for success.
9 assists, Jamal Murray. But it's just the fact that, you know, is that especially too when you're dealing with people whose jobs are to be, you know, professionally trained bullshitters, is that like, you know, it gets old after a while when, you know, you do a lot of shit that's not natural and not, you know, like telling the truth seems to be kind of like a natural truth in itself. You know what I mean? Like it's a natural understood thing that like, you know, oh, it's the right thing to tell the truth. And unfortunately, though, is that, you know, when you have people involved with that kind of job and stuff, and you saw with Jesse Smollett and stuff, and then you saw with how actors will get on, you know, with their platforms. And again, you know, Ellen Page admitted it while she was saying it, but, you know, it's like, you know, not saying she's a psychopath, but like psychopaths will feed you what you want to hear, so that way you can trust them. But like in itself, though,
7 points in the game. Fires top of the key.
oh, that's 10 assists already.
And the amazing athleticism of Murray just taking off towards the rim for the jam.
But in itself is that, you know, when you have that platform, you can, it doesn't matter if you're a bullshitter at that point, and that's why a lot of actors have that platform too, is that they have the accessibility because there's so many people are interested, they have so many fans that are interested in what they have to say. So then those end up, and because there is that unnatural perception about, you know, actors, entertainers and stuff, like you get a LeBron James and stuff like that, is that, you know, because there's this unnatural givens, like, you know, and it's very materialistic in itself, especially with athletes. Just think about it, right? What's more materialistic than, like, you know, like trying to glorify someone who, like, oh, he's a freak of nature, and you're like, yeah, but like that's a human body. Like, who cares, right? Because then in itself, it's kind of like not sexualizing him, but it's the physical aspect of how a man's perspective in that case is like, man, this guy can run so fast. But when it comes, you know, for women and stuff like that, like celebrity women, is that with that is that, you know, there's the sexualization of women sexualizing the female body, to where, you know, you have a lot of star actresses and stuff like that like they're talking about, oh, they're beautiful and stuff like that, you know, and stuff like that. And with men, you know, there's also, you know, sexualization of a lot with stars and stuff. Like, people have this goddess like type, like this, like with Madonna, like being like a goddess or something. Is that you get these, you know, unnatural, like way too hyper inflated like perception of people, and it, you know, it allows them to now be like the head, like, you know, opinion people in the world, because not because they have the credibility for having an opinion that's like suited well, but because, oh, nice block, dude. I thought he was about to block that right into the basket. Holy shit.
Here's Clarkson. Defense right on him.
Oh, nice play by Porzingis. But basically, is that this idea that like now, because now it's easy for someone like that to get that sort of position on it. Damn it, JaVale. Come on, JaVale. Is that now is that you can have an Ellen Page go out, and especially too is that. Oh, that would have been sick. Oh, shit.
That would have been a good time to just keep it simple. No need to rush that pass.
I know, Steve Smith.
Clarkson. He hasn't yet put up any points in this one. Kicks it to Grant. 13 feet away. And it falls over the rim and in.
God damn, dude, it's like a fucking ice cream cone right there. Just like that fucking swirled around the rim of that so fucking long.
McGee a screen.
All right.
And for those of you just joining us, we're almost 2.5 minutes into the second quarter. Kicks it out to James. Here's Collins. Yes, and it's LeBron picking up the assist.
Damn.
LeBron's got assist number 11.
But basically what you're getting is that, sorry, drawing out, but it's also a 50-minute video, so maybe maybe you get some ASMR or whatever it is with my voice. Who knows if it's not an annoying as fuck voice. But you get this perception now that these people are so glorified and stuff like that, is that you pretty much now have like this beautiful platform for them to be able to talk. And that's the thing though, is that like you get the likes. It's kind of like, you know, how people are doing like people were trying, like celebrities were trying to take down, you know, and that's the thing too, is that humans aren't perfect. And if you can watch enough television stuff, actors and actresses are going to be able to tell you their true intentions and shit like that. Like when the whole like high school thing that happened and stuff, and I'm not a Trump supporter or anything like that, it's just that when that happened, is that like in itself, like people like were wanting to ruin the lives of these high school kids. Like they're like, and they were the ones who were approached, you know what I mean? Like people are like forgetting like these were the kids that were approached. These are children approached by grown adults. And like, and this dude that like got famous, the like Indian like or sorry, Native American like spirit man or something like that, who like, you know, was talking about like the kids being hostile or something. Like, have you ever seen that dude talk? He didn't even look like he knew what the fuck he was doing. Like, that guy looked clueless. And not only that, is if you're gonna be a spiritual guide, why would you be the type to be like anti, like why would you be anti-pacifist? Like, wouldn't you expect, you have a stereotypical spirit guide and anything that like that person wouldn't want to get into any bullshit with anybody? Like, damn. And LeBron still yet to score any points here in the first half.
Covered by Reddick. Collins grabs the miss. Collins has got 7 rebounds in the game. Fires the 3, and it's Murray.
But he is facilitating. Oh man, this has been an interesting game. Alright, let's get some subs in before I spew some more shit. But yes, in all seriousness, though, is that like, you know, you get the likes of that, and these celebrities are just trying to ruin this game. They're using their platform to try to like, and think about too, like, right? Won't you think that like you should hold, like, I know like you should hold everybody accountable for stuff, but don't you think that in itself it'd be mature for us to hold the likes of, you know, the likes of a 60-year-old man? You'd hold him more accountable than the likes of, you know, a 16-year-old kid. It's a 16-year-old kid. You know what I mean? Like that person. Like, think about it, right? If you're gonna try to ruin that person's life at the age of 16, shouldn't you also think of the other factors that are going on? That person can't even drink. Here we go. First points. Nice. Is that, you know? Jesus, that was crazy. But think about it, right? If you're going to try, these celebrities were trying, like, just because they disagreed with someone for just wearing a hat, you know what I mean? Like, it's not a KKK hat. Let's remember this, okay? Most people are not hateful and stuff like that. The KKK is hateful. Most people are not the KKK, okay? Like, you remember when the KKK came on the TV in like the 70s and stuff? People like they found out where they were doing their rallies, and they just went there to tell them, y'all are full of shit. Like, that's what the country did, and put them down and said, fuck you, we're not going to listen to you. So that's exactly what happened. And you know what? They went away and stuff just by showing it, because it's like showing too, like when people were getting sprayed down and having guard dogs put on them, German Shepherds, the police were, and I forgot if it was Alabama or something, or Mississippi, what part of Mississippi, when those black people in the civil rights movement were having that. Because most people don't like seeing that happen to anybody. You know, and it's just sheer ignorance. Most people are like, you know, have the influence of wanting to like love other people and have that like in them more so, okay? The 16-year-old is not sitting there like, and also too, it's awkward for them. Like, someone comes up to them beating a drum, like not making any noise, and that dude's just staring at you. Like, how are you not gonna smirk? I'm sorry, like, how are you not going to smirk? Like, I know a couple friends, and I know a dude that watches my videos. He lives in Colorado now. I know damn well he would smirk if someone came up to him just like that. Nice shit, Mo Harkless. Like, honestly, like that's some shit that like I would smirk at, because it'd be like, huh? Like, what is going on? Because like they didn't approach him. They're just there, you know. I don't know if they're there for a field trip or something. They're like their group. Nice dunk by Dayton or D8. But yeah, if that was the case, but seriously, like, huh? Like, it's just, you know, that just seems to be the case. Is that like this grown man approaches them, you know what I mean? And he's like trying to say about hate. It's a 16-year-old, okay? The 16-year-old usually won't have that in him or her. And also too, when we want to talk about the mental capacity, how are we gonna hold people accountable at the age of 16 when that's also the age that we think it's mentally okay for a person to start actually driving on his or her own? You know what I mean? Don't you think that's a little contradicting? That we can all globally and universally accept the fact that, like, you're like, yeah, like a child shouldn't be able to drive yet because the mental state of that person until they're 16. Like, that's the first time they can even drive. So they don't even have driving experience at that age, really, because technically, you know, if those people are 16, by default, you could say that person turned 16 the day before. So they don't even, like, we're assuming that they don't even have driving experience. And, like, to sit there and try to say that, you know, we're going to say that person's just a complete, like, you know, that's who that person is at the age of 16, compared to the 60-year-old. Like, not saying the 60-year-old did much, but he approached those people. You know what I mean? Approached those kids. And then they weren't doing anything. It wasn't like they were approached by the children. You know, they were approached by them. And it's just like he was the one who approached them. And for a spiritual guide, he's not very pacifist for someone that's supposed to be a spiritual guide. When you say spiritual, because if you're materialistic, then you can have more barbaric feelings of, like, you know, oh, I want to hurt someone physically and stuff like that. Oh, like, and if you're spiritual, you're trying to focus on your spirit. And I'd imagine you wouldn't want, you know, you wouldn't want to have much of the influence of, you know, having a negative spiritual outlook. You know what I mean? Like, unless you're like a fucking straight up crazy evil person. Yes, I'm a spiritual guide for, like, straight up, like, Satanism. Like, no one has that stigma when they say spiritual guide. You know what I mean? So obviously, this dude says he's a spiritual guide for, like, you know, the positive reasons behind it. So it just doesn't look good for a 60-year-old person who has 44 years more under his or her belt in that situation than the 16-year-old. You know what I mean? Like, I have family members that, like, I'm younger than, but I can consciously be above arguing with them. Like, come on, you shouldn't do that. Like, there's some things you know you should be above. And when you're 60 years old and you're a spiritual guide, I'd expect a lot more from any kind of 60-year-old to begin with. And you can't have that kind of stuff, and that's the perspective that's given to us. And also too is because it is the thing that drives our culture. When you have that kind of perspective being put on television, you're going to have that influence on culture. And then, like, you forget about the fact that, like, these are the people of the future. You can't demonize people that are 16 years old unless they've legit, like, hurt people. You legitimately know they've hurt people and that they're bullies, that they have that deviance and evil in them. Like, yeah, you'll have deviance in, like, younger kids, but, like, when we're talking about levels of, like, you know, straight mean bullying, like, to where you'll get with teenage girls, like, trying, like, it's a high suicide rate that's gone up. It's about teenage kids that bullying each other, and also there's more accessibility, of course. More power given with the accessibility now with social media is that people can post shit mean, and it doesn't really leave. Like, you know, some people just don't go to fucking school to get away from it, but, like, in itself, nice shit, JJ Redick. LeBron's just getting it done. But really, though, is that, you know, with that more accessibility, is that you're kind of driving that kind of, like, outrage culture to where, like, you know, and my girlfriend's sister has been a product of it and stuff. It sucks. It's mean. It's mean because you're just, like, you're just ruining people's privacy, and, like, and the thing is that most people are wrong when it comes to stuff. Like, their initial, like, response, we're reptilian part of our brain is wrong for the most part because it's a materialistic part of our brain that doesn't ever think about, just thinks about survival, and that's it. And when you have people that initially have their initial thoughts and do that to people, such as, you know, using Twitter negatively and shit like that to take away people's privacy, it's evil. And you shouldn't let that stuff, and that's what I mean by this victim consciousness, is that people call people out on racism on shit they don't even know, or sexism on shit they don't even know. And, like, with that being said, like, how do you even know? Like, you know what I mean? Like, and it's not even like, damn, LeBron.
Hey, they got the shot they wanted off of that pick, but it just doesn't fall. You're absolutely right.
That was
Beautiful
a nice play.
pick.
Yeah, this team's starting to play better.
When you have a reliable
This
floater
Memphis
like
team.
that, it can be
But in all
absolutely
honesty, like you can't just let that shit drive it, because it's a very negative thing going on, like in itself. Like you can't. It's just that's just wrong to do. Like the outrage stuff, because it's allowing to try to say, it's like, oh yeah, I can be mean because I'm trying to make these people seem mean, so it justifies why I can be mean to them. Yeah, it's exactly what I said about strain theory, is that it's people saying, well, I've been treated like shit, so I have the ability to bounce back on it and stuff like that. It's like, no, you're kind of driven by anger, and you shouldn't let that happen to you. Like that's not psychologically right. You shouldn't let that affect you, because eventually you're gonna do the same thing to someone else just based upon your own anger. So, damn, JaVale. Come on, JaVale.
So a free throw coming up. A great opportunity for a three-point play. The Grizzlies shooting their third free throw shot of the game.
But you can't sit there and let that happen. And when people have that platform that drives that sort of thought, is that no, it's not good. Like that's not good whatsoever. Because now you're just pretty much with that influence. It's kind of like a motherly influence, because now with social media, there's a lot less power in the household, because now people have a lot of their own influences come from social media and stuff like that. And when you're having that be like the main driver of, you know, people's like where people get their information from and stuff like that, because that's, you know, a powerful thing, accessibility, right? People have more accessibility with the internet, which is part of why porn is destroying young men, is because there's an unrealistic, like I said, with, you know, the likes of like billionaires and stuff, you know, caviar isn't enough and stuff like that. They start getting into deviant stuff because it's not enough, because they don't, there's something else that you need to learn, you know, how to grow as a person, but you're not going to do that if you're focusing on what materials to buy and stuff like that. So in itself, like you get the likes of like Robert Kraft, like looking for new shit to be entertained by, and eventually you're gonna run into deviant shit because you've run out of shit so much, because you have so much money that leads to that. And when it comes to porn, is that now there's unrealistic expectations sexually for women that porn has put its stamp on, and it's not cool at all, obviously. That's happening.
It's Redick on the wing.
Oh.
Misses the three.
Shit.
Just enough coverage.
Can't believe James only has 4 points in this game. But, I mean, he has 17 assists right now, so.
Back to Porzingis, and stolen by LeBron. For three.
Damn. But when you're having that, now you have an unrealistic expectation, and now it can ruin potential relationships in general, because one, there could be that, you know, it could have a trauma, you know, because your brain is used to seeing those kind of images when it should be more of a rarity in general and stuff like that, which is why, you know, it's a misperception. You know, the hookup culture is that now you're getting a bunch of men that, like, you know, oh yeah, this is really hot, like, you know, not every girl's gonna want to have a threesome or something like that. So like you're gonna have to sit there and be like, ah, shit, like you know, it's gonna be realistic that most people don't want something like that. So when you have porn like that, that's gonna teach you to want to venture out to stuff like that, and how that's so taboo. But it's taboo. But however, though, the access to it is a lot more, because of like there's like the great porn experiment on a TED Talk talked about how like there's no control group for porn, because 100% of young men have watched porn and have been like have access to porn. So with that being said, that's a huge thing, because now that's raising up generations and generations, especially the generation coming up, to where, like, you know, they got straight up free stuff everywhere, and the accessibility is insane. To where
the offensive rebound, D passes to Bull, dishes it to Clarkson.
To where, sorry, I'm focusing on the play. To where now you're having unreasonable expectations, to where men want to venture out, to where they're like, oh, I've been watching enough sex, now I want to have something new. Oh, that's what I'm into sexually. Well, then eventually, though, you're going to have people, you know, not have enough, you know, interest in normal sexual things, which is like, you know, a man and woman relationship, and just, well, just in general. And I say man and woman because most people are straight, and it's not being, you know, it's not being, homophobic or anything. It's just that's a fact. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's
And
why it's
now
like
it's
it's
a
not really
12-point
offensive if you say
Cavalier lead.
man and wife or something like that, because like think about it, right? If like in laws in life and something like that, how like certain things are more common than others,
Grant against LeBron.
then like they happen more common in nature, it's fine. Like, then it's not offensive to say something like that. You know what I mean? Like, it's kind of like saying when you compare two things, like if you've eaten, like it's not wrong to say, and I'm not saying this is better. I'm not saying necessarily it's better, but it happens more in nature, to where in this case you have the likes of to where, like, let's say you eat at a restaurant, and the restaurant, if the restaurant is going to be considered a certain adjective, like kind of like it's more natural if you're straight, because more people in nature are straight. Doesn't mean anything about bad or whatever, but if also too is that if you think someone's rude or not, and if they're 90% of the time rude, you're going to consider that person a rude person in general, because it'd be natural for that person to be rude. Just like if they're nice 90% of the time, it's more natural for that person to be nice. So you think of that person as a nice person. In this case, you think that most people in their couples and stuff and their interests and whatnot, that it's more natural because 90% of people in nature, in general, the sexual preference is straight. So you think that it's not rude; it's just basing it upon just trial and error. It's actually using science. So, like, you know what I mean? The same people that believe in science, same people that are trying to push that more people are gay or something like that. And it's like, no, it's not offense. It's just, if you're gonna be qualitative with your work, you need to be qualitative on everything in life, or else it doesn't make any sense.
On the wing, Stevenson. There's the three.
Oh, bust it.
Yes, and it's LeBron
There we
picking
go.
up the assist.
Nice shit, LeBron.
Stevenson's got the lead up to 14 now for Cleveland.
I gotta sub these dudes out so bad. There we go. Come on. Gotta get now. LeBron's the only dude that's out. Shit. Never mind.
Now Clarkson. He's got 5. And it's blocked. And the Cavaliers pushing it up now. Again, the Cavaliers score.
Nicely done. But what I'm meaning by all this is that, God, where the fuck did I even get in on this shit? Is that, like, when it comes to the, you're having the influence of people and stuff, is that, with that being said, is that with people's platforms, is that if you have the platform and the accessibility, so yeah, back to point, is that, is that now you have more accessibility with porn, is that now it's creating more and more men to taboo stuff in general, and it's not doing well for the women and in specifics. You have relationships that don't meet up to par of what they should be emotionally, because it's dampering for women to deal with a guy that doesn't think that they're inept enough for them sexually, and that's obviously a big issue. And you could also get the same thing, just like I said with Robert Kraft, is that you get these deviant behaviors to where you're emotionally detached from your relationship, with having porn driving all these things, saying that you have unreasonable expectations. Like, like you might have some people that don't want an open relationship because porn has driven so much sexual desire and stuff like that, that it's led to other partners in relationships to wanting open relationships, and that can create a divide of people and stuff like that. So now you get that, because the accessibility, some things become old to where it's not enough to just have your girlfriend. It's not enough to just have your boyfriend. It's not enough, to have your significant other. It's just...
An open look for Stevenson.
Oh, come on, Lance.
And Memphis the other way now. Kicks it to Dunn.
But yeah, that's the whole thing about driving, is that, like, with that platform, the accessibility. So now with the accessibility of, like, telling, when it's coming from people that are trained actors and stuff, like they're trained liars, like, it's no offense, I'm not saying any conspiracy or something like that. It's just actual fact. Like, these people's jobs is to
And that's
to
deflected by
to
Drew
have
Holiday.
to
Grizzlies
pretty
trail
much
on
play a
18.
character that they're not. So in
He
itself,
dishes it to Dunn.
they can use this Jussie Smollett thing as a means to try to drive a narrative that doesn't necessarily exist as common as they try to believe it to be. And you get this with news anchors all the time, and you get it with talk show hosts. They really draw you out because within acting you have to get your emotions involved with it. And with that being said, it makes for an easy pathos like argument. Ooh,
Here's Mack. Here's Harkless.
nice.
Good on the three-point shot.
Nice. To where now, you know, people that can, like, you know, act like something's a huge deal, now they can act like something, you know, think about it, right? They can act like a person that's trying to tell you that, hey guys, like, this is legit real, like, this is a huge problem in the world, when it's not really that much of a problem. There's not that many hate crimes going on in the world at all. Because think about it, right? Horrible stuff goes on in the world a lot of the times. Most of it is actually not told you. Like, most of that shit's happening on the other side of the world. It's not happening in the United States. Like, when people are like saying, you know, we should have national emergencies for people's rights to have their own protection for guns and stuff like that. But in itself, like, because of, you know, school shootings and stuff, it's like there needs to be something done, but that doesn't mean, like, you know, that's a rarity. It's a rarity when you think about it. It's a terrible thing, but, like, people don't accept it because it's an emotional response that they get. But in itself, it's a statistical anomaly, a school shooting. Because that doesn't, like, I don't even think there's been one that's happened in, like, half a year. I think the last one was the one in Florida. And, like, that was a big one. Like, that people talked about.
To the wing right side from the arc.
Damn, I thought he was gonna hit that. All right, let's get LeBron back in this one. Fuck this shit. All right, let's get the boys back in town. But yeah, is that's the whole thing. Is that, you know, when these people are you know, trained liars, because, you know, kind of like when they're on a TV show. It's not Jussie Smollett on a TV show. Like, that's a character that he's supposed to play. And and because it's a TV show and it's an alternate reality, their jobs as actors is supposed to make you forget about the fact that they're not what the character is. Like, that's the whole skill and art of an actor. So with that being said, is that they could also tell you, they could also, like, dramatically make something more of a problem than it actually is. And that can become a problem in life in general, because now, like, and they look stupid about the Jussie Smollett thing, is that there's this extra perceived, like, narrative that something bad is going on, and then bam, and again, being an actor, you don't have to be a genius. Like, you can be a genius of a certain thing, but you also don't have to be a genius when it comes to certain things in general, because as you can tell, they're not geniuses necessarily in Hollywood, just like there's most likely not geniuses and people do stupid shit and say stuff before they even, you know, read it. I mean, we have journalists that do that, and that's their job, is to research stuff, and before they come out with a piece or something like that. You know? So with that being said, you see it all around the world, so it doesn't surprise me that you see the likes of an Ellen Page or people speaking out about stuff like that, that speak too early on shit, because, and they you know, trying to use something that ends up becoming a fake stage thing that this dude was doing just to what? Just to get sympathy from people. And then when you know that he's doing that to toy with people, then you're like, whoa, then this could actually, the fact that he's observing society enough to be like, well, people could feel sorry for me. And then that, oh, Jesus, LeBron.
12 straight points off of three-pointers, and
but, like, the fact that, you know, the fact that, like, that he thinks that because he sees society well enough to, he's like, he didn't act it out well, obviously. He's not a smart dude himself, because, you know, Cameron didn't even catch it at the fucking subway. So, like, so, like, that being said, you know, a guy who's involved with, you know, acting and stuff, and cameras didn't even get the camera, it didn't even get caught on the subway camera. Like, you know, that's the insanity of it. Nice play right
James
there.
gets it to
Nice.
go on the assist by Murray.
But,
Murray's
you know, and it
got
says
6
you're not dealing with the
assists here
smartest
tonight.
people, and it's pretty crazy for someone to
And
want to do
Holiday
that. You know what I
gets
mean?
to
It's
dunk.
kind of like, you know, it's like someone like wanting someone in their family to die so that way, like, they could, like, have people feel sorry for them. And you're like,
Buries the long-range jumper.
no, that's a little weird. Like, you know, doesn't that sound weird? Like, that'd be, you would totally think that that's a mentally ill person.
Feeds it to James.
So, with that being said, like, now is that you can't let that sort of perception happen to
Porzingis
you.
with the steal.
Um,
And Holiday with a clear path to the hoop. Finish off the break.
And defensively, they're on their heels
To where
every
you
time
can't
the
let
ball
this
comes
Jesse
inside.
Smollett thing happen to where, like, that's the thing is that, like, why, like, we need to
Here's
get
Murray.
over this infatuation with
outside.
certain human beings just based upon occupation. Because in itself, we talk about body shaming and shit,
screen.
even though it's statistically proven
James
you're
with
more
the
healthy
bucket.
and it's
Obviously,
better and
this
you
is
live
where
longer.
James is so
Like, I have an
difficult to
obese
defend.
family member,
He
okay?
beat you with a variety of
The,
moves inside,
the dude
just
doesn't
like
have
that
good
one.
health at all, and
Timeout
it
called
makes
the
perfect
Grizzlies.
sense.
You
It's an
and JJ
unfortunate truth,
Redick,
but it makes
what a
perfect sense,
contribution.
okay? But a real shaming is people job shaming. What's more materialistic than job shaming? Let's be honest. Unless, like, you're doing a job, like, you're involved with
And
murdering
Memphis
people,
making a change
or a
here.
job that's, like,
Parsons
you're
checked
selling
in.
really hard drugs to people.
Poked away.
Unless
And
that's the
ball
case,
goes out of
then,
bounds.
sorry, I was trying to
Last touch
focus
by
on that
James.
steal. Unless that's the case, then what's more materialistic than sitting there and trying to do it? Because in itself, the thing that drives a lot of job shaming, like, that's an actual shaming that, like,
Great use of the pick to
exists,
create room for the
is
jumper.
job shaming,
Terrific
to where,
team chemistry on display. Everyone
because it's
communicated
driven
well, and as a
materialistically
result,
through
they
a lot
got
of things.
great
Like, think
look
about
out
it,
of
right? If financial bankers didn't make a
Redick
lot
is
of
in the
money,
corner.
then
Takes the
the
three.
idea of
He
being a
watches it
financial
go through the
banker
hoop
wouldn't be
for
as
a brief
attractive.
make.
But it's
Now 8 for
attractive because of
14.
the money. So when
Really
you want to
just
compare it to another
continuing
job,
to
you're like, oh,
increase
well,
the
I
lead.
work at
This
Citibank,
one should be easy
Shitty,
for the
Shitty
rest of
Walk
the way.
Bank.
I can't see this one slipping
To
away
where,
from
you know what I
them
mean?
at
Like,
this
to where, like,
stage.
that's supposed to
They've
make the
just
job
been
more
too good
attractive
today.
or something like
He
that.
had
But
it
that's
rolling,
because
but
the
then
money
lost it for
tells
some
you that
reason.
that's the
Let's see
case.
if he can get it back while
Oh,
it still
JJ
matters.
Redick.
Hits it from three-point
Good
range.
shit, boy.
Redick's got a couple of three-pointers
But, like,
now in
you
the
know,
fourth for
that's the
Cavs.
idea behind it, is that, you know, it's a materialistic thing. That's actually a thing. Because, like, because it's one, you could say body shaming to where, like, okay, most women should, like, that's the idea, is, like, it's fine, like, curvy women. There's no, like, you know what I mean? Like, that's, women are supposed to have their curves. Like, their hips are supposed to be set out more and stuff like that. And you want to know why? Because they fucking give birth to children. Like, that's the fucking reason why that's the case with that. So, with that being said, oh, LeBron, Jesus Christ. Beautifully done. Beautifully done. But you don't want that, the perception that, like, you being 300 pounds, 200 pounds as a woman, 250 pounds as a woman should be accepted. No, that's using too much compassion
Pocket six.
for other people. You know what I mean?
Porzingis.
Like,
Again,
and, like,
Memphis.
when you're doing that, like, you're totally, like, you're opening up to allow certain things that shouldn't be allowed, you know, just like you're having the spoiled child out of the group.
Now this game is out of reach.
Redick for three. That one doesn't
Oof.
drop. 2
Here we
seconds
go,
in the shot
boys.
clock game.
We're going
Holiday
to
with
the
it.
ship.
He's picked up by James. And here's Holiday.
Come on, player.
Pass to Porzingis. Pulled the shot a little left, but the bounce goes his way.
A lot of basketball comes down to recognizing mismatches and taking advantage of them like he did.
Damn, that would have been cool if LeBron hit it. But fuck yes, boys.
Oh, they've
Fuck
done it. The Cleveland
yes.
Cavaliers are
Cleveland
the
Cavaliers.
NBA
That dude, he, like, busts his
Just
nut for
tremendous.
like as if, like, he just hit a game-winning
And as
three to
they
win the
celebrate,
series.
you can just
That
see
did
the
not just
relief,
happen.
the
Like, I just won by
exhilaration
20
that
points.
comes
He's
from
like,
the
oh,
ball.
the Cleveland Cavaliers.
Hand it to the
Oh my God.
organization. They
That's
work
how you know,
together
like, they should
to
have
get
different,
right
you
here.
know,
And guys,
they kind of get lazy sometimes on making, yeah, 2017 champs. Fuck yeah. That's some funny shit, but yeah, badass. I guess Chris Dunn and Jamal Murray seem to be very, you know, sentimental and sensual right there on that meetup. That was interesting. But yeah, okay, so awesome. Let me go through these stats real quick of this game. Actually, I'll talk and stuff more. So yeah, just one. We'll go through the stats in a sec. But yeah, what I'm saying is that now, you know, with body shaming is that that's allowing too much compassion and love, because people are loving. and part of loving is that you don't want to hurt people's feelings. But however, though, at the end of the day, there should philosophically be an understanding that, you can sit there and be like, oh, I don't want to tell someone about, fuck yeah, raise that trophy, motherfucker. LeBron James easily the MVP. I guess that's Adam Silver's fucking crazy ass. Of course he's holding that shit right there. That's what he acted like when he fucking beat the Spurs, fucker. But yeah, that's part of it, right? You don't want to hurt people's feelings. Let's go through these stats real quick. So Porzingis not as big of a game as last time, but he's still going to average what? Still going to average 32 points in this series, I think. Yeah, because 18 difference, it makes it 9 in the middle. So 32 points, and he's going to average 8 rebounds. So it's a nice series for him. DeAndre Ayton played well for sure. LeBron, I mean, like in the first half, 13 assists, just balling. Played better in the second half for scoring wise, but 2 steals, only 1 turnover, and I think it was a Porzingis steal. Porzingis had 1 steal. Okay, it just felt like it. It was a lot of steals, but he's a long son of a bitch. Pretty nice little underrated stat line right here, but it's only 8 points, 5 rebounds, 6 assists. But yeah, that man's the man driving. He's the fucking locomotive right there. Alaba! Dan 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 dan. I. But that man drove the fud. He was the conductor of that train, LeBron train, and that dude shot beautifully today, hitting a lot of green with him on those fucking shot meters. That was sick. I loved it. That's a JJ Redick game for you right there. That's JJ Redick as fuck. 25 points, shot 50% on 14 attempts of 3. No rebounds, no assists, no steals, no blocks, no turnovers. Fuck yes, boy. And he hit both of his other shots too. So sick. Jamal Murray played well. 7 assists, 18 points, 2 steals. LeBron James, I mean, almost had a Barbara Walters. I was trying to go for that, but Morris is right there guarding him at the end. But LeBron, 17 points, 8 rebounds, 20 assists. Sick. JaVale McGee didn't get a double-double to this time, but John Collins did. He was getting quite a bit of rebounds in the first half for sure. Yeah, he had 10 points and 8 rebounds. First half, really good shooting by Harkless. He hit a couple threes in a row. Willie Hernan Gomez played well. It was an overall really fun series and stuff. And let's cut through right here. Let's go back. I got to turn this volume down a little bit just because the music and stuff, copyright stuff, stupid, whatever. That's another thing, Yeah, man, it's all about the music. Let me slap that copyright right on your ass. But there you go, one with the Cavs, fucking sick. Didn't seem to be much of an issue at all going through the playoffs. I just creamed a lot of teams. This team is really easy to play with LeBron and company. But yeah, averaging 23.5 points per game, 7.5 rebounds, 19 assists per game, 1.5 steals, half a block, and only 1 turnover per game. And we shot 36% behind the 3-point line, 62% overall. Sick ass series for LeBron. Really nice. Like it. See what he averaged the entire playoffs. LeBron averaged 13.8 assists per game throughout the playoffs, 28.6 points per game, and only 6.4 rebounds, not fully steals and stuff like that. Yeah, I guess should have tried to play a little bit more defense with him at times, but he's still balling out and still had a great series in the finals. Porzingis led scores, 32 points, 8 rebounds, like I thought it was going to be. JJ Redick scored 25. So what? That he scored 11 points in the first game, so he shot lights out in the second game. Very impressive. Jamal Murray played well. Ayton had himself a nice, almost average 15 and 15. And John Collins played well, averaging a double-double. I think JaVale McGee averaged a double-double as well. It's a nice little series. He averaged 2.5 blocks, so he had 2 in one game and 3 in the other. So yeah, as always, y'all, it's a great. I love doing this series so much, so much. That was fun. But to finish my last thought, I was talking about just real quick, and we can talk more about it. Welcome to the table. But I'll get a video up of I'll film a video of the draft process for the next season coming up. Season 6, going to be 6 teams down. I believe so far it's been the Pelicans, um, the Heat, uh, the Pelicans, the Heat, the Pistons, the Cavs just now, and damn, what was one I won with? Can't think of it. But yeah, but just to finish my thought, we'll go over it on teams that before, because chances are we might start running ourselves when I have a random team and close my eyes to pick a team, like roll the dice or something like that. As y'all have seen in like previous drafts, um, I've totally probably start finding myself like accidentally rolling on teams we already played with. We're not gonna do that shit. So yeah, that's fine with me. We're gonna have to probably start dealing with that. Not so much right now, but a lot more in about 4 or 5 seasons from now. Which that should be like what? That should easily be like a month or two away. And but yeah, back to what I was saying is that you could have too much compassion to where you really don't want to hurt people's feelings on stuff. You really don't, and I understand you don't want to hurt people's feelings with the things you say because the saying, "Sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me." But that's not true. It's honestly not true because talking and communicating is the one thing we do. And communication is the one thing we need to use to survive, but it's also the one thing, that it's just like anything. It's not necessarily binary, but that you could have, good and evil towards. Is that easily? You could have bad communication. You have great communication. You could have mean communication. You have nice communication. And it's kind of like people that are like trying to take care of family members and stuff with like drug issues and people that are gluttony and then eating too much and indulging in stuff too much, drinking too much, is that you have it all the time. And the human body is a beautiful way of, the world we live in is I think I think there's levels of consciousness spiritually that we can get to that are outside of this world and but the thing about this world is that we're supposed to I think that we live in a materialistic world and we have to use these materials in this three-dimensional world to teach us lessons. And that's what's a perfect example of the human body, right? Is that if you jump on the ground and scrape your knee and it really hurts. Your body is a physical, that physical ailment is teaching you and showing you, oh, that's what happens when I did that. I shouldn't do that again. And you know that like when you excessively drink and get involved with eating too much is that you get obese and then your body starts breaking down and your joints start hurting. That's materialistic ways of using materials to show you that what you're doing spiritually is not good for yourself. And honestly, I mean, you're seeing it in unfortunately a family member of mine. Just it's a sad truth. Recently got heart disease, but morbidly obese. It's sad. It's really saddening, especially sad vicariously through him. That death is a weird thing that teaches us all, and teaches another family member because this other family member is dealing with this. That they fought a lot of times, and it's made this person really upset hearing this news the most. And with that being said, there's a reason why it's doing that. Is because this materialism also, with that person realizing his own gluttony, has led to this condition of heart disease. It's also teaching this other family member who fights with this person quite a bit that I've tried to reach out to him or her about, being above things. Don't instigate because you can be just as much as fault. Even if someone's being mean, you don't have to be as aggressive with them because you know that it takes two to tango. And if you're gonna fight with someone and it's hit that person hard, the hardest actually, and vicariously, that's what true love is. I think is that you realize, and it's true love and wisdom is that you're dealing with people to where you can recognize that through their own problems, you can learn and develop your relationship with them. That it's not only dealing with your problems. That's why narcissism is such a detriment, and all these other personality disorders are such a detriment to society, is because it clouds people's judgment in the way of like understanding the feelings of others. And like I said, I just got done talking about compassion. You know, is that you need to know that there's things that you can't be compassionate about. You can't be compassionate about to telling someone, be like, oh, it's okay, like you just like want to feed your children like McDonald's because it makes them happy. But guess what? They're not going to be happy being morbidly obese at a young age. They're not going to be happy looking at themselves. And honestly, it's a hard thing, and life is full of suffering because you can sit there and say, well, that is materialistic to say about how the body needs to be healthy. But there is a standard of having a healthy body for yourself to live a healthier life, because this is our vessel. This is our vessel that controls everything, and some of us are born with ailments, unfortunately, compared to others, and we should really, when you see stuff on Snapchat of someone who's born without hands and someone who's born with nerve damage and stuff like that, that we have a vicarious love, and that's true love is vicarious love, to where love of thyself shouldn't exist, to where we have a love showing compassion for others, to where we're like, man, that's wrong and it sucks that person's dealing with that. But we all should show a love too of discipline, and the love of discipline means that we can't show too much compassion to, it's like, you're really compassionate about something you believe in, and people get butthurt when they hear another opinion that's different than their own, and they get hostile and stuff like that. And they don't even want to talk. I've dealt with it with family members, dealt with it with my girlfriend's family members at times. People just get hostile when they hear something that they don't believe in, and it's sort of a selfishness to it, because it's this thought that, oh, I believe in good, and that what I believe is good because I think that I'm a good person, that anything in objection of that must be bad. And that's not true. That's not true. We're not perfect people, and we shouldn't automatically also egotistically assume that what we think is perfect and great. I feel like, I know I'm rambling on and stuff like that about this, but, there's imperfections in the things I say and imperfections in the thing I believe too. Nothing's fully perfect. And I don't believe so, especially in this, realm of, three-dimensional realm and stuff we're dealing with, that your body's not going to look perfect, but you should strive to have a healthy body and stuff like that. You shouldn't, body shaming's a stupid thing that people have, you know what I mean? And also, like, something such as like ableism, to an extent, is that, like, you should know that some people are born with different talents than others. It's called diversity, because if you want this ableism thing to happen, then you don't believe in diversity. Because there's a, it's stuff that happens just like that. That's just the case. Is that you talk about, oh, this person should be allowed to do this task. It's like, well, unfortunately, he or she can't do that task as well as the average person. But however, we could look at something else that that person, even though they can't do this task as well as someone else. If we're going to have diversity, we got to know that people are going to be lesser at things than others, and they're going to be better at things than others. But you can't sit there and just think that everything's equal. That's very utopian, and honestly, I think utopian is evil, because it's kind of like the idea that, like, if you think that you're going to have a happy ending regardless of what you do, then that's not true morality. True morality is having the ability and choice. It's like Bandersnatch on Netflix. You have those choices, and it's just like life. You have choices in life that lead to other choices, that lead to new choices and stuff like that. And that's true morality, is the ability to be bad just as much as to be good. And it's that choice of being good that is the true meaning of good, and being like loving, is that you sit there and you want to have that choice. You don't want to hurt someone's feelings sometimes. And it's also how you do it. You don't want to be mean telling someone a harsh truth. You don't want to be harsh with a harsh truth. The truth itself could be harsh enough. But if you can know how to, and a great book I've read, How to Win Friends and Influence People. It's a great book. I want to start reading it again. Teaches you how to communicate with people and how to display messages, and just the beauty, just like everybody's even seen on like Snapchat, is how psychologically it's been proven statistically with psychological that when you tell someone to do something, they don't perceive it as well as if you ask them to do something. It's something as simple as that. It's just how you do it. But yeah, just, I can continue on about talking about stuff like this. Just let me know. Leave a comment of what y'all think about it. Honestly, I'm having a fun time talking about this because, like, we're still stuck on this fucking main screen hearing me talk about this. But yeah, y'all, I just feel like in this world, um, I feel like we're quick to jump on stuff, and I feel like there's a lot of negativity being fed to us that we let influence us because the accessibility to that negativity. And honestly, I feel like I feel like there's a lack of discipline in the world. There isn't some sort of predisposed like toxic masculinity. I think it's just men that aren't disciplined enough and taught well enough, unfortunately. So, and there comes an own aspect to themselves also too with that. There's a responsibility for themselves as well. It's true. But if you raise someone to be a killer, and they're a killer later on in life, it makes fucking sense. And if you don't raise people to be disciplined towards others and loving towards others, you're going to have people that don't love others. It's true. And also with compassion, it's a harsh truth. Shouldn't be told harshly. It's how you convey it. And that's it. Yeah. But as always, y'all, I appreciate it. Really thankful for the support as always. I appreciate it a ton. And thankful for y'all's support. Thankful for everyone I know. And thankful, for the influences, of people I don't know that I don't recognize every day in my life. I'm grateful for it. And as always, y'all be grateful. Thanks, y'all. Appreciate it and have a good one.